Technology is split between hardware and software. Our media product was successful due to a culmination of the two. Technology is unreliable. No matter what, when producing or creating a media product, you will encounter a technological problem along the way. This was the same for my group. In terms of hardware, our group used two main pieces, an actual DSLR camera and a Mac computer. The camera was a Canon 80D with an 18 to 55mm IS STM lens primarily, but a 50mm f1.8 lens was used for some close-up shots. The camera was also able to shoot in both 60 FPS and 24 FPS, but this will be explored later. The computer used to edit was a standard iMac. The software used to edit all the footage was Final Cut Pro 10. Firstly, when importing footage into the timeline, I had selected the project to be presented in a 720p HD 16:9 ratio with a frame rate of 24 FPS. The basics of Final Cut Pro 10 was the use of the select blade and trimming tools, which allowed us to change the length of both our audio and video footage, as well as change the order in which the footage appeared in the timeline. In addition, we used the fade in, fade out tool with our audio to allow a build in, build out effect. In the very early stages of shooting our footage, we had planned to shoot our character walking across a hallway/landing. The hallway was in very low lighting, and because of this the footage we took was filled with visual noise. When we tried filming the same shot for a second time, I tried to fiddle with the aperture of the camera to allow more light into the lens, as well as changing the lens on the camera to the one with the wide f.18 aperture. Yet there was minimal change to the amount of noise that came with the footage, and unfortunately we had to scrap the footage. In terms of the actual editing software, Final Cut Pro 10, I was already a fairly experienced user of the software. I learned that it had many similarities to iMovie, which I had first learned to edit on. However, Final Cut Pro 10 allowed for more complex and varying features to be used, such as letterbox and tint capabilities. At first, I had tried to apply letterbox and tint to each individual clip, but I had encountered multiple problems whilst doing so. Firstly, that this process was time consuming. Secondly, that when trying to apply letterbox to clips that had already been cropped, the letterbox was disproportionate in the sense that the top of the letterbox was longer than the bottom, or vice versa. Another problem which I encountered was when applying tint to the clip of the character's sisters in bed. The original footage was orange, and because we had planned to tint the whole of the opening to blue to give it an indie edge, I had to specifically tint the clip to a neutral color first, then apply another tint over it. To save time and to fix all issues with the letterbox and the tint, I created a compound clip. With the compound clip, it was so much easier to apply both the letterbox and the tint effects to all the clips at once, rather than individually. It allowed for the letterbox to be proportional and allowed for the same tint to be applied to all the clips at once. For the slow motion clip, I did not want jagged, blurry slow motion, which would normally occur when using the default settings for slow motion. In order to achieve a clean, smooth slow motion clip, I set the camera to shoot in 60 FPS at the time, and I applied optical flow in Final Cut Pro 10 so that the clip would seem more realistic and still retain its quality. With our audio, we used generic sounds of the city and of doors closing to simulate sounds that we could not record ourselves. This was to add another realistic edge to our films and to again submerge the audience into the world of our character.